Hey there friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited for today's recipe because we are making something really tasty, Georgian Khachapuri. If you've never had it before, it's a cheese-filled bread that's rich, cheesy and had this crispy golden crust. Now I should mention that this version of Khachapuri is a little modified because it's pretty tough to find the authentic cheese here in the United States. But don't worry, the flavors are still absolutely amazing. So let's get started. Alright, let's start by making the dough. Grab a big bowl and we are going to add 80 milliliters of warm water and 80 milliliters of warm milk. It's really important that they are warm, not too hot, just warm to the touch. Add 1 teaspoon of sugar and 1.5 teaspoons of active dry yeast. Give it a quick stir, then let it sit for about 5 minutes. Now, if you're using instant yeast, you can skip this activation step. But if you're using active dry yeast, you will notice it getting nice and bubbly, with foam forming on top. Once that foam is there, we are ready to continue. Now we are going to add 20 milliliters of vegetable oil and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt to the mix. Give it a quick stir to combine everything. Next we will start adding in our flour. Gradually sift in 250 grams of all-purpose flour and begin mixing. Keep stirring until the dough starts to come together. Once it begins to form a dough, oil your hands and knead it for about 5-7 minutes. I like to use the slap and fold technique for this, which really helps develop the dough's elasticity. You want to work it until it's smooth and elastic. The dough should feel soft and just a little tacky, but not sticky. If it's too sticky, sprinkle in a little more flour until it feels just right. When the dough is ready, shape it into a tight ball by gathering the edges in your hands. Then place it into a bowl. Cover it with a cloth or plastic wrap and let it rest in the fridge. If you're short on time, you could let it rest in the fridge for about an hour or two. But for the best flavor, pop it in the fridge overnight. This will allow the dough to ferment and develop a rich, delicious flavor. Once your dough has rested and risen, take it out of the fridge. I let mine rest overnight so you can see how fluffy and nicely proof it is. Now we need to divide the dough. First, knead it slightly to deflate it, then transfer it into a floured surface and shape it into a log. Divide it into 2 equal pieces so we will have 2 cheese balls. Now shape each piece into a ball. Cover them with a cloth and let it rest for about 20 minutes at room temperature. This will allow the dough to warm up a bit. While the dough is resting, let's get the cheesy filling ready. In a bowl, add 113 grams of ricotta, crumble 56 grams of feta cheese, and grate in 200 grams of mozzarella. Use a fork to mix everything together until it's well combined. Next, add 2 tablespoons of heavy cream, or half and a half, and mix again. Finally, add 1 tablespoon of flour, which will help keep the cheese from running out of the boat. Stir everything together until it's smooth and creamy. This will be the perfect filling for our khachapuri. Set it aside for now and let's move on to shaping our cheese boats. First, prepare your baking sheets by covering them with parchment paper. I like to use 2 smaller sheets so I can bake both khachapuri at the same time. Now let's get back to our dough. Take one of the dough balls, sprinkle it lightly with flour, and start flattening it with your fingers. Then use a rolling pin to roll it out into an oval shape. Be sure to use enough flour so it doesn't stick. When you roll the dough, it might shrink back a little, but just be patient and keep working it. My oval shape is about 13 inches by 7 inches. Once you've got your oval shape, pinch the ends together to create a little tails and then fold the edges in to form a boat shape. Carefully transfer the dough onto your prepared baking sheet and adjust the shape if needed. Now carefully open the edges again and we are ready to add half of the cheese filling into each boat. Start from the edges, leaving a little space around the edges for folding. Lightly flatten the filling to ensure it's spread evenly. Next, fold the dough over the filling, gently sealing it with your fingers to make sure it stays closed while baking. Finally, add a little more cheese to the center, letting it spill over the edges of the dough for that perfect cheesy finish. Now that our first cheese boat is shaped and filled, repeat the same process with the second half of the dough. Once both cheese boats are ready, we are good to go. Preheat your oven to 475 degrees Fahrenheit. If you like a crispy finish and a golden cheese crust, use the convection setting. If you prefer a lightly brown crust, you can bake them without convection. Carefully place both of your baking sheets in the oven and let them bake for about 15 to 20 minutes, or until the crust is golden brown. Keep an eye on them as they can go from golden to burnt pretty quickly. Once your khachapuri are ready, take them out of the oven and immediately make a small dip in the center using a spoon. For the finishing touch, add the egg yolk into the center. Return the bread to the oven for about 2 minutes, just enough for the egg to cook slightly. Then remove the khachapuri from the oven and add a little butter on top. And that's it. Serve the khachapuri hot, just mix the egg with all the cheese and enjoy that perfect balance of crispy dough and creamy cheese. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy making and eating this delicious khachapuri. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more tasty recipes. See you next time.